Right now at 6, an overnight storm caused significant damage to businesses in Baxter Springs.
And thanks to that cold front this weekend, we got a pretty chilly start to the day. Unfortunately, though, more severe weather expected this week. Look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, the Sarcoxie Rural Fire Department hosted a fire hose testing at the high school parking lot.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Melissa Alexis.
I'm Chris Warner. It is Monday. It's March the 31st, last day of March. March going out like a lion in this case. With the severe weather we had over the weekend. Of course, some damage reported. Baxter Springs, damage in Galena, and damage to a residence in north central Jasper County as well. Joplin Airport recorded a wind gust of nearly 80 miles an hour as those storms passed through. So certainly a rough weekend, and unfortunately it is a very harsh reminder we are in severe weather season.
Absolutely.
And that's where we sit, and we've got more of it possibly this week. But first, let's get your Monday started, and we'll take a look outside downtown Pittsburgh, and you can see it looks all right. Skies are actually cloudy right now, and we will be mostly cloudy through the morning before these skies begin to clear into the afternoon. Somebody's been breaking the law here on the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line. It is possibly the worst time to break the law. It's really any time of the day, but when there's only like 3 other cars out on the road, don't do something really silly. Don't draw attention to yourself, man. Got to be careful out there, but thankfully we have law enforcement here to take care of those problems, right? We are going to see our clouds decrease heading into the afternoon and evening, which will be nice. It is below normal today, though. Take a look by noon. We're in the 40s, maybe some 50s. It's a lot colder than where we have been here lately. Our temperatures will be below normal heading into the afternoon and evening. You top that with a gusty wind. Now, it will ease up briefly by late evening, and then it picks back up again overnight as winds begin to shift out of the south and east. Here we go again. We got an elevated risk for strong to severe thunderstorms across the entire region for tomorrow, but this is similar to what we talked about on Friday. This is not a daytime event on Tuesday. This is a nighttime event once again, overnight Tuesday into early Wednesday morning, which is why you see we've got those little leading and ending lines here as the storms roll out of our area heading into Wednesday morning. And this threat will continue for a while because it looks to be a little later for us on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning than what we saw on Sunday. Because what we saw Sunday, started pushing into parts of our area 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. This one will be just a little later than that is what it's looking like. So we'll talk about that in detail with you here in a few more minutes. 41, both Joplin and in Pittsburgh. Most of us, at least at this point, into the low 40s. We're starting to see a few more upper 30s, and temperatures for most of us will fall a couple more degrees, which means kids getting on the bus will be starting into the upper 30s. They'll want that light jacket, and north wind gusting to 20. They're going to want that light jacket regardless because of that wind. Later this afternoon, still breezy, north wind still gusting, about 54, mostly clear skies when the bus brings them home. As I mentioned, the skies will clear into the afternoon and evening. Temperatures below normal, but they will eventually make the mid to upper 50s. We'll talk a little more about those wind reports from over the weekend and, of course, break down our severe threat Tuesday night into Wednesday morning here in just a few more minutes. Melissa?
Thanks, Chris. An Arma man has been convicted in connection to a 2023 shooting in Pittsburgh. Colin Gepford has been convicted by jury of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and several other charges. The incident took place in February 2023. Multiple agencies responded to reports of shots fired at Main Street in Pittsburgh. David Mays was found with a fatal gunshot wound to his chest. The shootings were part of an altercation between Mays, Gepford, and 2 other men. Gepford was on scene when authorities arrived and taken into custody. Gepford is expected to be sentenced on May 20th. A storm that went through the area Saturday night caused storm damage in Baxter Springs. Local businesses and residences were the main structures affected. KOAM's Mitch Adams has more.
It's going to be hard because I've got people, I got 4 single mothers here that depend on this place, and so I've got to make sure that they don't end up on the street.
Families and businesses in Baxter Springs are dealing with damages from a storm that took place overnight. The storm strung debris throughout the downtown area, with buildings taking a majority of the impact.
We came down, around 2:30, and the storm had taken out my business the front of my business with the top of another business across the street. Their roof and their gutter came into my shop, and there was significant damage to their shop. Their place was flooded. The roof is it's completely damaged.
Pro Ice, a company that makes ice wraps for athletes, is going through a major loss at their business, with most of their inventory for the next 6 months left destroyed.
Our 18-foot steel overhead garage door got blown in. Wall in the building, one of the walls got blown out. Some window on the east side got blown out, and then another 12-foot overhead door got blown out the back. Of course, everything got rained on for a couple hours during that time, and it destroyed the bulk of our product that we would normally sell between now and the end of August. It takes us about 6 months to get all that sewn up and ready for season, but it's all gone now.
Despite the amount of damage at his business, Greenberg is happy that nobody was seriously injured in this weather event.
You can see from the size of the boards and everything that came down, I mean, it could easily have killed or terribly injured one of the people that works here.
Pamela Mitchell, the president of the Baxter Springs Chamber of Commerce, says that this time of year is crucial for tourism on Route 66, so crews will try to efficiently clean the damage and debris.
Springtime is this time of the year, April 1st, is when Route 66 travelers pick up, and we really don't want them driving through and seeing all of this damage. So we're going to work really hard all together, the city, the chamber, all of the business owners. We're going to work as hard as we can to get everybody fixed up and back open.
In Baxter Springs, Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
Now, officials say no injuries were reported during Saturday night's storm. Don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone, free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOAM Skywatch weather app. The Sarcoxie Rural Fire Department invited the community to come watch a fire hose contest Sunday at the Sarcoxie High School parking lot. The fire department hopes that the test shows that in a time of emergency that they're prepared, and it gives the community a chance to meet the volunteer firefighters that put their lives on the line.
I love helping people. That's what I always wanted to do with my life, and I enjoy helping others in their time of need. What I enjoy about hose testing is this just shows us that we put the time and dedication in to make sure our equipment is functioning properly. So when people in the community need us, we 100% guarantee we're ready to go.
The exercise is to ensure none of the O-rings fail in the hoses. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, there was a close call between a Delta plane and an Air Force jet near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. Plus, President Trump is pushing out a new round of tariffs this week. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Monday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning. There was a close call near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport on Friday. It involved a Delta passenger plane headed for Minneapolis and a U.S. Air Force jet. Collision warning alarms sounded in the cockpit of the Delta flight Friday afternoon as the Air Force jet flew past at more than 350 miles per hour at 800 feet, according to tracking data. 2 pilots, 3 flight attendants, and 131 passengers were on board at the Delta plane. In a statement, a Delta spokesperson emphasized the importance of safety and said the flight crew followed procedures to maneuver the aircraft as instructed. There was no immediate comment from the Air Force about the close call. Some AT&T customers will be paying a little more for their service. The carrier announced it will soon trim its monthly auto pay discount. Starting April 24th, the rebate will go down to $5, half of what it was before. The discount ends altogether for those enrolled with a credit card that isn't the AT&T Points Plus card. There is an exception. The $10 rebate will remain for customers enrolled with a bank account. Analysts say this move is being made to try to encourage people to sign up with a bank account in order to avoid potential credit card processing fees. According to a new survey, Americans are more worried about raising unemployment than they've been in over 15 years. The University of Michigan released its latest survey on Friday. It found consumer sentiment tanked 12% this month. Respondents blamed President Trump's erratic trade for their concerns. The survey's director said 2/3 of consumers expect unemployment to rise in the year ahead, the highest reading since 2009. Those worries come on top of increasing fears of higher inflation, with Trump set to announce a sweeping spate of tariffs in a few days. A new round of tariffs are set to kick in this week, including an extra 25% on imported vehicles and parts. The White House says the move could bring billions of dollars and jobs back to the U.S., but a new poll finds that the majority of Americans are concerned the tariffs could raise prices. The president also claiming, quote, there are methods for him to seek a third term. Derek Waller has the latest from New York.
I have had more people say, please run again.
President Trump hinting over the weekend he could run for a third term, even though the Constitution prohibits presidents from serving more than 2 terms.
We have a long way to go before we even think about that.
This week, President Trump is set to ratchet up his trade war with few specifics on reciprocal tariffs expected to kick in Wednesday.
We'll be far more generous than those countries were to us.
There's also the president's new 25% tax on imported vehicles and auto parts. The United Auto Workers president told Face the Nation Sunday the move could bring jobs back to the U.S.
Tariffs aren't the total solution. Tariffs are a tool in the toolbox to get these companies to do the right thing.
But a new CBS News poll shows that many Americans are concerned tariffs will raise prices. 64% said the president is not focused enough on lowering prices, while 55% said he's too focused on tariffs.
Products will go up. Americans will pay more.
Over the weekend, President Trump told NBC News that he couldn't care less if car companies raised prices in response to tariffs, also threatening bombs and what he called secondary tariffs against Iran, which would punish countries that do business with Iran unless there's a deal over its nuclear program. It comes after Iran's president rejected an offer to directly negotiate with the U.S. I'm Derek Waller, CBS News.
President Trump says he is planning to speak to Russian President Vladimir Putin again this week. The president threatened tariffs on countries that buy Russian oil if Moscow thwarts efforts to reach a peace deal with Ukraine, telling NBC News that he's also, quote, very angry with Putin over comments he's made criticizing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Now that's a look at some of today's top national stories. And here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, looking at the Skywatch Storm Tracker, as we mentioned, we're mostly cloudy this morning, and you can see those clouds on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Some showers out to our west should not impact us. We'll actually begin to clear out, and then we've got that severe threat heading into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Another look at your forecast when we come back.
Welcome back. Lori Horton joins us in the studio to teach us how to make pineapple upside down cookies. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome.
This is going to be a really fun recipe. I think pineapple kind of falls into that category. You either love it or you hate it.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be one, if you love it, you're going to really love these. And a classic pineapple upside down cake. A little complicated, a lot to deal with. These are kind of fun. We make it more of an individual serving size and a little bit easier for everybody to get involved and help in the kitchen.
Right.
So I'm going to do some of our steps a little bit out of order today because the magic of television doesn't always let us do things how we would like to, but I want to make sure that you guys see that when you come back to KOAMnewsnow.com and you find that recipe, everything's going to be in just the order you need to do it so that it falls in the right places.
Perfect.
But we're going to start with kind of doing this in reverse, which is fitting
Okay,
for
of
pineapple
course.
upside down, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to start with putting our toppings together. So what I've got in my bowl here is just a stick of melted butter, and I prefer to use the salted butter. You can use salted or unsalted, doesn't matter. And this is a cup of light brown sugar, packed when I measured it. I've kind of broken it up here a little bit to make it a little easier to melt into that butter. And we're just going to take a fork and kind of start to get that well incorporated. It's
Okay.
going to be kind of a wet sand consistency.
Right, I
which
see that.
Sounds so appetizing, doesn't it? It's exactly what we're going for. We don't want it too wet. That's why there's not nearly as much butter as we would normally put into a crumble topping or a caramel.
Okay.
So once that brown sugar is totally soaked, we're actually just going to set this aside.
Okay.
And this can set for a little bit. So if you do want to do this in this order at home, perfectly fine. You'll just sort of remix it when you go to put it down on your cookie sheet.
Okay.
So you can see we've got kind of a nice, just a good, again,
Yeah.
it's wet sand.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe
good
that.
comparison.
It's kinetic sand. But we're going to take our fruit, and one of the more important steps that we cannot skip on this is to actually drain our pineapple rings and our
Okay.
cherries, and then to dry them just a little bit. We don't want too much juice going down on that cookie sheet.
Right.
So I actually just have a pretty good stack here of paper towels. Super technical equipment here today. And I'm going to take a few more paper towels and just kind of pat those dry on top. So get a good layer. And you actually want to get, you'll see there's a ton of juice still in there, even though I have drained that pineapple. And these are just your normal pineapple rings.
Okay.
Nothing out of the ordinary. Pour the juice off and then pat those dry. When we come back, we're going to work on our actual cookie dough.
Okay, that's
it's kind
exciting.
it's kind of a step process here. I
Right.
know it seems like a lot, but it's very important in how we layer this and how we chill our ingredients. And
Okay.
this cookie dough's got an ingredient in it that's a little unusual for cookie dough. You see it once in a while, but it has sour cream in it.
Sour cream.
So it's going to make
I'm
us a really
surprised.
cakey cookie and really tender and really soft. So it's going to be, again, like almost a little individual sized pineapple upside down cake that you can pick
Awesome.
up and eat very
Yeah,
easily.
for
So,
sure.
Yeah, be fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lori. We'll be right back with more news and weather.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:24 now on this Monday morning. Of course, a recap of the local storm reports. So these orange circles here are damage reports. Of course, we know about the damage in Baxter Springs. There was damage to a building in Galena and then to a home up in north central Jasper County out here. And then these are wind gust reports, anywhere 50, 60 miles an hour. And then the Joplin Airport recorded a wind gust of nearly 80 miles an hour. It recorded it twice. And so National Weather Service teams, I'm sure, will be out to assess this. I'll be honest, I mean, it's interesting how the strongest wind gusts and the wind damage follow a particular path. It's not to say it was a tornado, but that was a possibility with that storm as it rolled through, maybe a weak one. So we'll see what the official reports say. But either way, that wind definitely doing damage. And unfortunately, we have another severe threat as we head into Tuesday night into Wednesday morning of this week. So again, this elevated risk for tomorrow is not for the daytime hours. This is like what we talked about on Friday for the weekend. We had that risk for Saturday. It wasn't really for Saturday, it was for overnight. And that's the same case here. And then like what we saw last week as well, by Sunday, it showed the risk moving east. Same situation as these storms will begin to exit our area on Wednesday. So here's a breakdown of those threats we're looking at for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. We do have that low to elevated tornado threat across the area. Same with the hail, but these hatch marks indicating the possibility of very large hail, 2 inches in diameter or greater. And then we have an elevated wind risk across the entire region as well, something we don't want to deal with again, especially so soon after we just went through it. But unfortunately, that's what we're looking at today. It's chilly, it's breezy, it's calm though. Skies will begin to clear into the afternoon and evening hours, and we'll have that north wind gusting to 20. Now by late evening, the winds will momentarily at least ease up, and then they'll switch out of the southeast overnight and start gusting again upwards of 20. Now Tuesday, we're looking at partly to maybe even mostly cloudy skies at time. An isolated sprinkle or two will be possible. As we head into Tuesday evening, that's when we'll start to see those clouds increase. We have a few more sprinkle chances out there. And then after about 10, 11 o'clock Tuesday night is when we start to see shower and thunderstorm chances. There is, and they don't look impressive on here, but there is a slight possibility, looking at some of the new data, that we could get a couple of supercells ahead of the main line. That's why that tornado threat is a little higher for going into Wednesday morning than what it was Sunday morning, because that's at least a slight possibility. There's a lot of dynamics that will determine whether that happens or not, but we want to monitor that. The other way, we get a new line of showers, storms, strong to severe, starting to roll through the area. Here we are at 5 o'clock, just getting ready to roll into Fort Scott. We've got Chanute just outside of Parsons, Coffeyville, Independence, Bartlesville. There's that line, a very impressive line. The other thing we want to watch for is the future track showing like that notch shape. That gives us at least a remote chance for what they call those QLCS tornadoes. It's where you get a line of storms and you get just a little bit of spin. They're traditionally weak, short-lived, but they can still happen. So we got a lot to watch going into Wednesday morning. By 8 a.m., we still have this line. It doesn't look super impressive for a moment, but then it re-intensifies before it exits our area. So by about 9, 10 o'clock, those storms blow up again along and south of I-44 and start to push off to the east. So we got to watch this very closely. Make sure you've got the Skywatch weather app. Make sure your phone is charged. You got the KOAM Plus app. You can stream us if your power goes out. And you just have a way to get those warnings. So again, today, mid-upper 50s, low 70s tomorrow, around the mid-70s Wednesday. More shower and storm chances Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Nothing looking to be severe at this point. Cooler into the weekend and warmer with more sunshine next week. Let's check out your forecast. We're going to send it over to Melissa now with Health Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Topping Health Watch this morning, people who take antidepressants face a substantially higher risk of cardiac arrest. A study by the European Society of Cardiology found people who took antidepressants for 1 to 5 years had a 56% higher risk of sudden cardiac death than people who didn't. The risk was even higher for people who took the medications for 6 or more years. And despite more and more people running marathons, the risk of dying during a race is on the decline. A study by Emory University looked into sudden cardiac arrests during long-distance running events and found while the rate of heart attacks hasn't changed, the chance for survival has doubled, likely due to more emergency health workers and services being readily accessible at races. If you have a problem with using your smartphone to procrastinate, listen up. A study in Frontiers found even when people put their smartphones out of reach, they procrastinated just as much. They found new ways to avoid their work. The study author suggested it's not smartphones that are the problem, it's our actions. Now that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, a competition in Pittsburgh hopes to encourage young civic engagement.
Now we've got a calm but cold and breezy day for us today. We have more severe weather on the way this week, though. I'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, plant lovers come together in Joplin to swap plants and share their green thumbs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:32. I'm Melissa Alexis.
I'm Chris Warner. It is Monday, March 31st, last day of the month, heading into April as we head into tomorrow. Tomorrow is April Fool's Day, so
yes, indeed.
We've got to get ready for all the jokes and pranks and everything else. And it's
I'm
probably going to be 100 times worse here than it is anywhere else.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of fun, though. I want to emphasize it's not out of cruelty. We have a lot of fun here, and so I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow. Fortunately, since today isn't April Fool's Day, I am not making any kind of jokes about the possibility of additional severe weather this week. After we just went through what we did on Sunday morning, we have that possibility again Wednesday morning. But first, let's get your Monday started with a look outside in downtown Pittsburgh. We've got cloudy skies out there, and those skies will gradually begin to clear as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looking good as well. So on to the future track we go. By noon, we're already down to partly cloudy skies. We'll be mostly cloudy through a good portion of the morning, though. And as I mentioned, those clouds will continue to clear out, and eventually we will have clear skies by the late evening hours and into the overnight. We'll have breezy conditions conditions up until about the late evening when winds will ease up a bit, and then they shift out of the southeast tonight and pick up again as we head into the overnight and tomorrow. All right, so here's what we've got. We have an elevated risk for Tuesday, but I want to again emphasize this is not during the day Tuesday. This is like what we had heading into this past weekend. This is going to be Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Then we have the risk starting to slowly push to our east as we head into Wednesday, as these storms will begin to push to our east as well. And we'll go over that severe threat with you in detail here in just a few more minutes. We were pretty chilly out there this morning, though. 41 both Joplin and Pittsburgh, and across the region we've got some upper 30s out there. Most of us, though, still into the low 40s, at least for now, but we're looking to be about the upper 30s when kids get on the bus this morning. Well, those mostly cloudy skies and north winds gusting to 20. North winds will continue to gust, as I mentioned, through most of today, upwards of 20. Mostly clear skies when the bus brings the kids home, about 54. Our highs below normal, but we'll start to get at least a little more sunshine later today as we go into the mid to upper 50s. It'll be breezier tomorrow. It will be warmer tomorrow ahead of those storms late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. We'll break down those details for you here in just a few more minutes. Melissa?
Thanks, Chris. The Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce held a civics bee on Saturday. Local middle schoolers tested their knowledge on government and society. KOAM's Mitch Adams has more.
First place winner today gets $500 cash. Second place winner gets $250, and third place gets $125, and all three will move on to the state competition later in May.
The National Civics Bee brings local students together to flex their knowledge in civil and governmental topics. According to a survey done by the United States Chamber of Commerce, more than 70% of Americans fail a basic civic literacy test.
We started partnering with the U.S. Chamber on this because we did see that there's a lack of civic knowledge going through our community and just the United States in general. So they thought it was important to start with our younger generation and kind of get that knowledge early.
Contestants were chosen after they submitted essays discussing solutions for civil and community issues.
The first round was actually all the students wrote an essay, and that was from October through December, and then they were chosen in February to come attend this event. So we've been working for months on this, putting this together.
Morgan Brownie, a sixth grader who participated in the Civics Bee, had one word to describe her feelings as a contestant.
Nerve-wracking, especially since you don't know what the other contestants' scores are.
Despite those nerves, Brownie ended up taking home first prize. In Pittsburgh, Kansas, Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
The winners of the Civics Bee move on to represent Southeast Kansas at the state level with a chance to make it to the national competition. Now, the Carthage Chamber of Biz Expo returned to Carthage Memorial Hall on Saturday, offering a day filled with networking, games, and prizes. Dozens of local businesses showcased their products and services, including home improvement, banking, and healthcare. The event was free and open to the public, drawing crowds looking to shop local and enjoy the fun board game theme.
The purpose of today's event is to allow our folks in our community and in our area to come out and see our businesses and what we have to offer. From printing services to electrical to painting, any service that you might need, massage, all of that.
And attendees also participated in a scavenger hunt throughout the expo. Plant lovers were invited to join a fun and green-filled event at Joplin Public Library on Saturday. Attendees brought plants, cuttings, or seeds to swap for new ones from the library or participants. The library also displayed a selection of plant-themed books for those looking to learn more about gardening or houseplants.
I just hope they learn that, reusing, repurposing is a great way to get new items. I hope they learn that the library is a place for things like this and that plants are great.
Plants were sorted into 3 categories: indoor, outdoor, and seeds, making it easy for guests to pick and choose from a variety of options. Now that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Elon Musk gave out $1 million checks to voters ahead of the state's Supreme Court election. And we have a cooler and partly cloudy day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Sky Watch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, Billionaire Elon Musk gave out $1 million checks to 2 Wisconsin voters ahead of the state's Supreme Court election tomorrow. The state's highest court had declined to hear a Democrat's challenge to the giveaways, claiming they violate state laws prohibiting giving anything of value to people to induce their vote. Musk later said the winners will be spokesmen for an online petition against activist judges. President Donald Trump's senior advisor has poured millions into the race to fill 1 seat on the court. It's expected to decide cases on consequential issues like abortion and congressional maps. 64% of people surveyed said the president is not focused enough on lowering prices, while 55% say he's focused too much on tariffs. A majority of respondents also said they expect the tariffs will raise prices. And McDonald's is launching new meals tomorrow to celebrate the opening of a Minecraft movie later this week. The regular Minecraft meals come with a choice of a Big Mac or 10-piece chicken nuggets, with a special Neither Flame sauce and a collectible. Young Minecrafters can collect one of 12 blockhead characters with a Happy Meal. And now that's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
And we're starting with that look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Got cloudy skies out there as we start our Monday morning, and same from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line in Joplin. Not as deserted as it was about an hour ago, though. More folks out there getting there Monday, the last day of March underway. Now the skies will begin to clear as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. We have a north wind gusting upwards of 20. By late evening, that wind will actually ease up, at least briefly, before it switches out of the southeast overnight and starts gusting upwards of 20 miles an hour again. We do also have that threat for severe weather as we go. Now, I know it says tomorrow, but like we discussed last weekend, how all this works, this is really for Tuesday, late Tuesday night into very early Wednesday morning. It's looking more so like it's going to be a better chance of storms after about 3 a.m. Wednesday morning, and that severe threat will begin to shift to the east and move out of our area as we head into Wednesday afternoon. Right now, though, it is again quite chilly. Now we're down to 39 in Pittsburgh, still sitting at 41 in Joplin. Temperatures around the region, well, they look like this. We're seeing a few more upper 30s start to crop up out there, but still a good number of us into the low 40s. So that does mean with the gusty winds, cool temperatures, kids certainly will want that jacket this morning. Upper 30s when the bus gets them. North winds gusting to 20. That bus brings them back home. Still gusty, but a little warmer. About 54, mostly clear skies by this afternoon. That's a quick look at your forecast. We're going to have another full look at your forecast. We're going to discuss that severe threat with you here in just a moment. We're also going to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. But first, here's what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, the latest edition of Big News America. In this one, David takes a surprise trip to another city, and he found a heartwarming story there about starting over. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Time for some Monday birthdays in the 4 states, and we are going to start with Chelsea Green celebrating birthday number 9. Happy birthday, Chelsea.
And in Carthage, Missouri, Reese Horton is celebrating their 18th birthday. It says, happy birthday from Grandma Judy, Grandpa Jim. We love you.
And in Columbus, Ryan Clark celebrating birthday number 30. It says, love you, Dad, from Leo, Summer, and Augie.
And in Carl Junction, Missouri, Hillary Maloney is celebrating her 33rd birthday. Happy birthday, Hillary.
And just to the northeast in Nevada, we've got TJ Pike celebrating birthday number 35. Happy birthday.
And Sherry Adams is celebrating her 64th birthday. It says here, happy birthday to the best mama around. Have the best day. We love you, the Obian clan.
And in Girard, Joan Birdsong celebrating birthday number 89 today. A very happy birthday to you, Joan.
And in Columbus, Kansas, Zach Conway is celebrating a big birthday.
And last but certainly not least, Mike Ward celebrating a birthday today in Erie. A great list of birthdays out there for us. And if you would like to celebrate with us, Melissa has some information for you.
You can submit to birthdays at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, make sure you meet that deadline you see there on the bottom of your screen. And of course, include pictures and messages because we absolutely love seeing those pictures and we love sharing those special messages with your friends and family. All right. Man, it was a rocky weekend for us. Going into Sunday morning, we had those strong to severe thunderstorms. Now, these orange circles are wind damage reports. Of course, we've seen the damage in Baxter Springs. There was a building damaged in the Galena area and a home with some siding damage in north central Jasper County. And then we have these greens, which are wind gust reports, and the airport measuring a wind gust of nearly 80 miles an hour. Now, National Weather Service survey teams, I'm sure, will be out probably sometime this afternoon to kind of take a look at everything. Again, just a shot in the dark, but I mean, you follow this path. That's an awfully odd straight line from there to there in terms of the strongest wind gusts and the damage reports. That's not to say that that was a tornado. We really could have just got some really wild winds out there, but it's at least, I'd say, a possibility that there might have been a brief, what we call a QLCS tornado. They're a little weaker. Yes, the damage can still be unfortunate, but they're a little weaker, and they don't typically last that long, but that may have been a possibility with that activity that rolled through Sunday morning, and so, of course, we'll get more information hopefully either later today or tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, as we head into tomorrow, we get another round of severe weather. Not during the day. This is just like what we had last Friday heading into the weekend. Remember, we had Saturday highlighted for a severe risk, but it wasn't for Saturday itself. It was the overnight. Same situation for us on our Tuesday. This isn't during the day. We're going to be dry and breezy tomorrow. It won't be until the late night into the overnight hours that we have that severe threat heading into Wednesday morning. And then just like this past weekend, the severe threat begins to move off to our east by Wednesday afternoon. Now, that's going to be the main difference is the severe threat Wednesday may linger a little longer. It may start a little later than when it did Sunday, and it may linger a little longer into our Wednesday than what it did Sunday as well. With that said, we have a low to elevated tornado threat across the area for late Tuesday night, early Sunday morning. And we'll talk about why that is here in just a moment. So that threat's actually a little higher than what we saw for Sunday. We had just that low risk out there for tornadic potential Sunday morning. It's a little higher than what it was. All right, hail. We have that possibility of significant hail in these little hatch marks here. So 2 inches in diameter or greater with an elevated risk across the bulk of the area. And then we have an elevated risk for damaging wind gusts across the region as well heading into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Today, again, mostly cloudy to start. By this afternoon, we're partly cloudy, and by the evening hours, we are clear. Gusting north winds out there. By late evening, they'll ease up, at least momentarily, and then overnight they shift out of the southeast. They'll start gusting upwards of 20 again, and as we head into Tuesday, we'll start gusting upwards of about 35 miles an hour. We'll have a mix of partly to mostly cloudy skies. Could have an isolated sprinkle or two during the day. I think most of us will be dry. What I want to touch on is why that tornado threat is, again, just a little higher than what it was Sunday, and here's why. Take a look. Ahead of this, we see that line at 3 a.m. starting to enter parts of Greenwood County. But you see these little green splotches? They don't look like much, but at least right now there is a very conditional chance of seeing supercell development ahead of that main line. They'd be isolated, but if we did see them, that's what would lead to that possibly slightly higher tornado risk if we see supercellular development. Now, again, being 100% honest with you folks, there's a lot of variables in play for that. And it's a very conditional risk at this point. That may not actually happen. What will happen, though, is this line of strong to potentially severe thunderstorms rolling through the area. So here we go to 5 a.m., just outside of Fort Scott, back down towards Chanute, Parsons, Independence, Coffeyville, Bartlesville. And as we head toward about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's crossing state lines. It may not look impressive on future track down to the south, but that severe threat is still there. In fact, these storms actually will re-intensify as they begin to exit our area. So leading up to about noon, we may still have, at least for the southeastern portion of our area, an ongoing severe threat through at least noon tomorrow. I think the best window at this point is roughly going to be between 2 a.m. and noon on Wednesday. So we're going to want to watch this very closely, as we told you, for heading into this weekend. Make sure you've got your phone charged, get the KOAM Skywatch weather app, get your weather radio ready, and make sure you've got the KOAM Plus app. That way, if it comes to it, you lose power, you can still stream us and keep up to date on that severe weather coverage. Otherwise, it'll be quite mild on Wednesday. We're starting in the upper 30s today, again, mostly cloudy like we're seeing right now, and mid 40s by 11 o'clock this morning. We're going to have another look at your forecast, talk about this roller coaster ride of temperatures we're going to be on this week here in just a moment. And when we switch over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., there's a new type of club. It's allowing women to party like they did in their 20s without staying out too late.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Colin Gepford of Arma has been convicted of first-degree murder of David Mays for a 2023 shooting in Pittsburgh. Gepford was also convicted for attempted first-degree murder and several other charges. Gepford is expected to be sentenced on May 20th. Residents from Baxter Springs are recovering from the wake of this weekend's storm. The storm strung debris throughout the downtown area, with buildings taking a majority of the impact. No injuries were reported. The Sarcoxie Rural Fire Department invited the community to watch a fire hose testing on Sunday at the Sarcoxie High School parking lot. The fire department hopes that the test shows that in a time of emergency, they're prepared. The exercise is to ensure none of the O-rings fail in the hoses. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you head out the door, a bit chilly this morning, not too terribly warm, but not too terribly bad today. Skies gradually clearing into the afternoon, mid-upper 50s, north winds gusting to 20. Into the evening we go, clear skies out there for us, and will be clear overnight, still breezy as those winds shift out of the southeast, still gusting upwards of 20 miles an hour. Warmer and windier tomorrow, southeast winds gusting to 35 at times, low to mid 70s, and then late Tuesday night into the first half of our Wednesday, another round of possibly strong to severe thunderstorms out there. All hazards are possible. The greatest concern at this point is with very large hail, but it's something we'll definitely need to keep an eye on once again. A few more showers and storms into the weekend, nothing looking severe with that, as we'll be a little cooler and then warming up again next week.
Coming up today at noon, we're making old-fashioned pierogies in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. For the second time in history, the men's Final Four are all top seeds as March Madness heads to San Antonio. Coming up on CBS Mornings, a look at the final weekend.
Or you can switch on over with us to Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, plant lovers come together in Joplin to swap plants and share their green thumbs.
And Lori Horton back in the studio to finish up her pineapple upside down cookies. However, that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.